Ma'am, if it's hard for you to meet high quality men, what that tells me is that you simply don't know what you're doing. And it's okay, because at one point, I didn't know what I was doing. That's why I did the dating experiment. But when I figured it out, I went from getting played to getting paid, ma'am. These men were begging to pay my bills. These men were begging me to give me things. And you never should ask. Oh, no, ma'am. No, ma'am. No, ma'am. Absolutely not. No, ma'am. If you have to ask a man to do something for you, then ma'am, you're not doing it right. And it looks tacky. It lowers your stock value, okay? No real master seductress would ever. And for those of you who have a negative connotation to seduction, understand what seduction really is. Seduction started with women, not men. Women. Women had to create seduction. And seduction is the use of your mind. The true seductress were smart. They were brilliant. When you are seducing somebody, then you seduce them with your energy, with your feminine essence. It's using your feminine energy to influence. Some of you guys are using your sexuality. You're using your sensuality instead of using the power of seduction. So when you're using seduction, then the man is like feeding off and he just loves being around you. He's not just trying to get what's between your legs. He's trying to get pieces of you. Why? Because that feminine energy feeds him. That's the reason why Samson did the foolishness he did. That's why Cleopatra was able to get all this land and do the things that she was able to do. Why? Because of the power of seduction. And when you are in your feminine energy and when you are healed, that feminine energy will make a man want to give you the entire world. And then the most confusing phase happens. This is the part that throws a lot of you guys off. This is the part that has you guys sabotaging yourself. Then he enters into the pull away phase. Why is he entering into the pull away phase? Well, ma'am, because you were good. When he goes through the pull away phase, that means his testosterone has dropped down so low. He's been falling for you. Or I'm going to clarify this because some of you guys, y'all will call a man showing you that he's just not that into you the pull away phase. No, ma'am, that's not the pull away phase. Him just disappearing on you and not coming back until 5 months later. No, ma'am, that's not the pull away phase. Him coming in and out of your life. That's not the pull away phase. Him going hot and cold. No, ma'am. That's not the pull away phase, ma'am. That's not how the pull away phase works, okay? Him going out of your life for a couple of weeks and then coming back and not wanting a relationship, that's not the pull away phase at all. I'm just not that into you. It's time for you to move on and see your value and move on to somebody who can see that value phase. That's what that is, ma'am. So when he enters into the pull away phase, the pull away phase happens around 2.5 to 3 months. And around this phase, this is what you're going to see, right? Tell me if this ever happened to any of you guys. You were dating somebody. He seemed really excited about you. He was saying all the right things, doing all the right things, showing up for you. He seemed great. And then all of a sudden, he starts pulling away. He's not texting as much. He's not calling as much. He's not trying to see you as much. And then you start to chase him. How many of you know what I'm talking about? Say aye. You start trying harder. You might even be tempted to have sex even though you don't want to. You start texting him more. You start asking him, why aren't you seeing me? Or where do we stand? Oh my God. And then this man who was once on fire for you, he seems to be pulling away more and more and more. The more you're chasing, the more he's pulling away. You know what's happening? You're literally sabotaging yourself, ma'am. All these people on Beyonce's internet, first of all, oh my God, y'all. Just watching some of the things, some of the dating advice. It's like the blind leading the blind. Y'all be listening to all kinds of foolishness. If it sounds good, y'all be just cheering, listening to it. Even though it's not true, it's biochemically false, it's not beneficial to you. You just listen to it. Just like when they say, if you want a man to fall in love with you, stress him out. No, ma'am. You start stressing a man out, he gonna run. That's not how healthy men work, okay? Only toxic, dysfunctional men will stick around if you're stressing them out. If you start to chase a man who's going through the pull away phase and he's biochemically pulling away because he needs his testosterone to rebound. His testosterone needs to rebound, ma'am. It's dropped so low. Another thing that's happening is that he's trying to determine if he wants to do that crossroad with you. He's trying to determine, am I really ready to take the plunge? Now, again, if you read Dr. Luann Brisendine's book, and just for references, okay, because there's so many people that's on here and y'all listening to all kinds of foolishness and they have no data to back it up. I've read over 1,000 different books on different studies on different love, dating, relationships. I've read over 1,000 different books. But my favorite authors are Luann Brizendine, Don Maslar, anything Helen Fisher does is all right with me. I love her, okay? That's the anthropology queen of attraction. And Dr. John Gray, not cheating pastor, Build-A-Bear John Gray, not that one, okay? Dr. John Gray, the author of Men Are From Mars, Women Are From Venus. That John Gray. Those are my favorite go-tos. So when I'm giving you guys the science, they're the reference that I'm talking about. So as a man, testosterone is dropping. He's also trying to determine if he's willing to take the plunge, because according to Luann Brizendine, if a man decides that he is going to fall for you, understand that a piece of his testosterone is dropping permanently. And there's advantages to him having high testosterone. And when it drops, he's losing those advantages. Like, he's more likely to gain weight when his testosterone drops. His hearing decreases. There's other things biochemically that he's built differently than women that he loses as he's falling for you. So he needs to determine, even subconsciously, if he is ready to take that plunge. And you want him to. You want him to miss you. You want him to see what life feels like without you. I had a client and she was going through the pull away phase with her man and she freaked the heck out. But she was smart enough to be getting guidance from us. So she didn't do all that calling, texting, chasing him, trying to prove herself or any of that. She called on her Diva sisters. She sat herself down somewhere. This man went through the pull away phase. She went on about her life, ma'am. She got a life. She was pouring into herself. She did her. She didn't stalk his social media. She wasn't asking him, where do we stand? Or, I don't appreciate the fact that you're like every other guy that I dated and I don't have time to play games and forget you and I'm blocking you everywhere. She didn't do none of that, ma'am. She sat down and been the boss diva that she was. She kept dating because, ma'am, as a single woman, you should be dating at least 3 men at a time. One of the worst mistakes I see women make is this whole concept idea of dating 1 man at a time. It's just a ridiculous idea, ma'am. You do not owe him your exclusivity without his commitment. You're not having sex with him. You have a right to have friends. You have a right to go places, do things, to network. You can do what you want to do. You're a free agent. And the same way that you will look for the best pair of shoes, the best house, the best car, the best investment property, is the same way you should be dating and comparing men to interview them and make sure that they are the best option for you. Because when you're just dating 1 at a time, you're way too available. You're way too thirsty. When he starts pulling away, you're more likely to freak out. You're more likely to tolerate bad behavior. You're more likely to ignore the red flags. You're more likely to overlook the signs that he's a Build-A-Bear, ma'am. You're more likely to do that. However, if you are interviewing, because dating is an interviewing process, we've mixed it up. Because nowadays, people think if I date, then that's a body part hunching session. No, ma'am. No, it's not. I don't know what you're doing, ma'am. That's not dating. Basically, you're not getting paid for your services is what it is, okay? It's you doing something else. It is like the Hunger Games. You're not a prize if nobody's competing for you. You're not. You're a donation. You're not a prize if nobody's competing for you. My husband appreciates me to this day. We are going on 10 years married. My husband has known me since we were 14. He was my childhood sweetheart. And my husband still values me. He still pours into me. Because one thing my husband said that when we started dating, he was like, I knew I had to bring my A game. Of course other men were going to be attracted to you. As a man, it's my job to put my best foot forward and earn you and win you. And I wasn't going to lose you. I was going to bring it. Okay? And I know being married to you that I need to continue to bring it. Because at the end of the day, you're a prize. And so I'm going to appreciate you as such. I'm going to pour into you as such. If your man has never been in a position to work to earn you, to see that you are the prize, ma'am, ask your grandmama, okay, about your grandpa and all his friends that he had on the side, or the way she resents him because he doesn't listen to her, because he doesn't make any effort to make her happy, okay? Ask your mommy and daddy who's still tolerating each other. Because at this point, they've been married so long, they're like, well, we might as well just die together. There's no point in trying to start a new relationship. Because the way you start is the way you finish. A lot of y'all are listening to this candy-ass advice that just temporarily works. Getting the man is not the prize. Getting married is not the prize. That's not it. I'm going to tell you what the prize is. But first, let me start with telling you what it's not. As someone who has been married and happily divorced, I would tell you that being married to the wrong person is a nightmare. You be counting the days. You be looking at your watch talking about how long do I have on this planet? Because this ain't it. Getting the man is not the prize. Attracting your romantic best friend who's effed up, unfaithful, and wants forever to love your soul. Your best friend who makes you laugh. Your best friend who pours into you, who sees you, who accepts you, who values you. Your best friend who you can do life with, who you can travel with, who you can raise kids with, who you can build an empire with. Now that's the prize.